Hey there, everybody. I am Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 7 in my top 31 hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 80s countdown. We've been doing it each and every day here in the month of May 2023. Not only myself, but all you guys watching have been trying to count down your favorite 31 hard and heavy albums of the 80s, a decade filled with hard and heavy albums, right? One of the great decades for heavy music, the 1980s. No mean feat, as I've been saying each and every day. My master list is probably made up of close to 300 albums that I really love a lot from this decade. So somehow I've been able to whittle it down to 31. Not very easy at all. So today, this is a killer album released in October of 1982, recorded at Chateau de Hérouville, or however you say that, in France, for Chrysalis Records. It was produced by Martin Birch. It is the only album to feature this exact lineup of this group. It is, drumroll please, Assault Attack from the Michael Schenker Group. I'm sure a lot of you knew this was coming. This was, the Michael Schenker Group was an interesting band for me in this decade because there were really 3 albums of theirs that almost made it onto my top 31 list. So I've talked a lot about how I made the decision that no band was going to appear on my list more than 3 times. So far we've seen a couple bands who have repeated, right? This almost was another one. By far, this is my favorite Michael Schenker Group album, Assault Attack, always has been. But the first 2 were also in consideration. And up until right before the month started, as I was kind of retweaking my list over and over and over again, they kind of got moved just outside of the top 31, even though I love them both to death. I mean, those first 2 were so good. This one, though, is the masterpiece, in my opinion. So this one, of course, was always going to be on this list, and it was always going to rank very, very high. Obviously, number 7 is really, really high. I do feel really bad that I couldn't quite squeeze the other 2 in because I listened to those a ton back in the day, and I still enjoy listening to them. But this is a special album. So, of course, like I mentioned, this is the one time only that this lineup recorded together on an album. Graham Bonnet, fresh from Rainbow, performing with the band in the studio for this album. Of course, we've heard the whole story about how the tour would get started and Graham would kind of get in a little trouble at a festival show and get fired from the band very early on. It's a real shame. Of course, he and Michael mended fences later on. He's done lots of appearances with Michael Schenker Group and various incarnations over the last bunch of years. Michael Schenker, of course, on guitar, lead guitar, rhythm guitar. You got Chris Glenn on bass guitar, and the great Ted McKenna on drums, with a little bit of added keyboards from Tommy Iyer in the studio here. Of course, produced by Martin Birch. One of my favorite Martin Birch productions right here. He's done some landmark albums, right? We've already talked about he did a whole bunch of albums for Whitesnake, including, a lot of those early ones. He did some stuff with Deep Purple. Of course, he did all the Iron Maiden albums. He did both Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules with Black Sabbath. He did Cultosaurus Erectus and the follow-up album for Blue Oyster Cult. So a lot of and these are just some of the major ones, right? He's did lots of other productions, but I would argue, of course, Rainbow as well. I would argue that this is one of his best productions. Just this album just is sparkling with energy. It's bright, it's powerful, and the vocals are just produced fantastically in the mix, and Michael's guitars are just tremendous. So let's talk about those songs, shall we? Of course, it starts off with the great Assault Attack, heavy, powerful, melodic, excellent opener. Then you get the grinding rock you to the ground, man, tons of groove in that song, nasty guitar riffing from Michael. Then the bright and memorable Dancer, catchy chorus, excellent song. And then a lot of people always seem to choose Samurai as one of their favorites. It's dark, it's mysterious, it's got a great groove, tasty guitar licks, great solo, and memorable chorus. And that's just side 1. Side 2, you got the great Desert Song, another fantastic, often cited favorite song from this particular album. And Desert Song, a track that Graham Bonnet has always gone on and played live in his various bands over the years, Alcatraz, Graham Bonnet Band, what have you. Then the snarling Broken Promises, another good grinding heavy rock number, excellent hard rock song. Searching for a Reason, that's a little bit more poppy, right? Bright chorus, very catchy. And then, of course, Ulcer, the instrumental to finish it off. Ulcer is great. Great riffing, great soloing, great rhythms. Just an excellent album. There's not a weak moment on this album. Top to bottom, just absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, if you get the reissue, you get the great session track that was not included on the album, which is called Girl from Uptown, and that's fun, too, as well. So, yeah, just a fantastic album. I'm just such a huge Schenker fan, and I like so much of what he's done, whether solo or UFO. But this is this is one of his highlights of his career, without a doubt. As far as album sales, our charting position, number 9 in Japan, highest ranking position out of any country for this particular album. In Sweden, this made it to number 34. In the UK, this made it to number 19. It's pretty good. And the U.S. Billboard 200 only made it to number 151. And no certifications on this one. But a great album nonetheless. I still remember when this album came out when I was in high school. Of course, way back when. So what did I say? This was 1982, so I was 16 years old. I remember we were all over the moon with this album, just listening to it nonstop. And, some of us, I think, had already remembered Graham from Rainbow, if we were into Rainbow at the time. For some of us, we were just so into Schenker from the UFO days and his first 2 solo albums, and we were just ecstatic to hear this combination on this album. And then, all of a sudden, because again, no internet back then, so you didn't always get the reports of who's coming and going from bands and things, very quickly. You may have seen it in Hit Parade or Kerrang magazine or Metal Hammer or Cream or something months after the fact, right? And MTV wasn't really reporting stuff like this, right? So it was really hard to figure all this stuff out. And then Built to Destroy comes out not that long after, and you're like, whoa, Gary Barton's back in the band again. What happened to Graham, right? And then you start hearing all the report stuff. So really weird how kind of music news traveled back in the day as compared to today, where everything is at the minute, right? So yeah, Salt Attack by the Michael Schenker Group. I do want to give a quick note here. We did lose Tina Turner yesterday. Again, I did not do a tribute video because I've never owned any Tina tribute albums. Tina Turner albums, and I was never an enormous fan of her music. I always appreciated what she did, but I did want to acknowledge Tina Turner, an absolute musical icon, whether R&B, rock, funk. Tina Turner is an absolute icon in music, and she leaves us at age 83 in her dying peacefully in her home in Switzerland. She had apparently been sick for many years, but musical force. Just Tina Turner, the look of Tina Turner, and everything about her. Just she earned that nickname, the Queen of Rock and Roll, for sure. So I did want to just give a mention to that. Rest in peace, Tina Turner, an icon, and I know a lot of people are hurting today because she was beloved by many. And I remember in the '80s, man, she had hits left and right all over the place. Such a career renaissance for her. At a later stage in her career, right? But still, better late than never, of course. She had lots of success with Ike back in the 60s and the 70s. So, yeah, we'll miss you, Tina. So, anyway, this is my pick for today. Let us know what you think of Assault Attack by the Michael Schenker Group. It is my pick number 7. Let's hear your pick number 7, as well as any comments you might have on mine. And we'll see you tomorrow for pick number 6, as we're finishing up, counting down. Curious to see what you guys think about what's coming up for me, right? I think there's some kind of no-brainer picks, perhaps, but we'll see, right? So till then, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. We've also got the links down below to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page. So thank you in advance for investigating and helping out there. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Tune in tonight for The Monsters Den. We will be talking about our favorite sword and sorcery films, right? So we're going to go away from horror a little bit and go towards kind of like fantasy and swashbuckling sword and sorcery epics. So we're going to be talking about our favorite films there. Of course, we've got tomorrow at the Funhouse with Martin Popoff. And then over the weekend, we've got Ranking the Albums. I will be ranking the albums of Blondie on Sunday, Debbie Harry and Company. So stay tuned for that. And a whole lot more here on the channel. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Also got Curse of the Collectors coming up this weekend. That's right. That's coming up at you too. And a whole bunch of other things are in store, right? And June is right around the corner. So we will be moving into my favorite 30 prog rock albums. Progressive rock classics, my favorite albums from the 70s, my top 30 of all time. So that'll be happening one each and every day, counting down in June, just like we did this month with the hard rock and metal stuff. So stay tuned for that. Get your lists ready. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.